Do you want to know what the fallen are, little one? In a sense, they are angels, but not the angels your mom imagines she prays to. Brass trumpets picnicking in the clouds. In their true essence, they are great swirling engines of wing and blood, fiery eyes that peer around the corners between worlds. Dark, radiant things conjured from fresh battlefields. A Frankenstein's Valkyrie, forever crashing to Midgard. What grief demands their hate? What vast cannibal hunger?
Welcome to the Fallen Cycle Mythos Fiction Podcast. This universe is full of secrets, waiting for those brave or foolhardy enough to seek them out. Cycle 2, Party at the World's End. Take a mad ride past the event horizon of sanity, as Lilith and her band of miscreants transcend from escaped convicts to superstars of a different kind. They grapple with the intoxication of growing influence. This is the story of those fallen who walk amongst us in a universe where 2012 went a bit differently, and hints of the world that is to come. Discover more about the Fallen Cycle mythos, including comics, novels, setting lore, and an RPG currently in development at fallencycle.com. And for our discussion and actual play exploration of RPG system and setting, visit modernmythology.net. This podcast contains adult themes and may induce psychosis. And now on with the show.
Season 5, The Impeccable Dr. Fein, 2012. As history teaches, a name may be given, but not taken away. Pavligantar. Dr. Fein sat at his desk, rigid as a statue. Final rays of sunlight filtered into his room through the slats of the blinds behind him, revealing all the dust and detritus freely dancing in the air. Filth. He ran his hand across his desk, leaving a trail behind it. Filth. A thin veil of fog and indecisive storm clouds seemed to envelop the asylum grounds, and with a grumble like an empty stomach, the deluge began. The yard, a small spot of verdant green in a grim bulwark of stone and concrete, struggled to drink in the soupy runoff. He could hear the rain falling, the gurgle of the drains beneath his window, the echoing report of a nurse's footfalls in the hallway, leading some patient through their meaningless routines. It would be a rainy Wednesday afternoon, just like the last, and the one before that. The building followed the Kirkbride model, save minor eccentricities like the enclosed courtyard. The outside was ornate, almost Second Empire architecture, but, with the exception of the administrative offices, the internal structure showed how tired this building truly was. Exhausted, weighted down by long years and poor company. His office was in the westernmost point of the central administration building, flanked by symmetrical pavilions housing patients, swept back like a flock of birds in flight. That's how all Kirkbrides were built. He laughed to himself. What am I, an architect? And turned his attention to his secret journal, reading it repeatedly, looking for signs of mental illness. Certain irregularities had appeared in his behavior. It was a rational precaution.
March 15th, 2012, 11:39:31 a.m. The Journal of Dr. Fein, MD, PhD. Here is the life I have chosen for myself. I arrive at the hospital every morning at 7. I'm not expected until 8, but I use the time to digest the reports from the evening staff and have a cup of coffee in my office. Pink, blue, yellow pages. I match checked boxes and phrases of jargon with known faces and emotions. Unusual or excessive emotional reaction dryly encapsulates bloody shrieks and hoarse-voiced prayers for death. Weapons prevention violation neatly condenses hours spent patiently honing a length of table leg, visualizing my face slit to ribbons. This new patient, he has a gift for lessening the self. I have been sorting for references to him. The reports indicate that he has quickly gained rapport with the other patients in the ward. They shuffle into a loose circle to hear him rant, whether his glazed eyes focus on them or not. He draws diagrams on his body and shares self-coherent madness with paranoid schizophrenics. I've even seen them pass around his little journal manifesto, "Join my cult," aptly named. An incoherent mess of half-truth and philosophical musing, but it holds some peculiar fascination. Dionysus, he calls himself. Everything he says is layered in irony. I imagine their thin hospital robes transformed into vestments. They become agitated when staff act to redirect them, protect them. Shared psychotic disorder or folie à deux. It is unstable, contagious, like a virus. The carrier, the new patient, is calm. I believe he plots. Lately, I have not felt entirely present. Another world is opening up beneath me. My sense of self and other is disintegrating. I shouldn't think of this. I open my desk, pop out a sample of Wellbutrin, and drink it down. Wellbutrin is indicated, clearly.
20 minutes had passed since the clock on his desk showed 12 o'clock. The next patient arrived soon. Dr. Fein pulled out the patient's manila file and opened it. He rearranged his features to be pleasantly interested and engaging. This one was yet another doe, though she had been using Meredith in recent evaluations. Caucasian intersexed, whereas the other, in their little cabal, was trans. Height 6 feet, 4½ inches tall. Age unknown, but estimated to be late 20s. Expected to present with a depressive affect, possibly catatonic throughout the session.
Guiltily, I love the catatonics. I gaze and sit with them in silence. Sometimes I use them as a blank-affected analyst and babble for the few minutes we have together each week. This frees me for a time, yet leaves a thin patina of shame.
He flipped through her file without reading any of it, his brow furrowed, posture enwrapped.
I present deeply in thought, concerned, silently strong. I wait for Ms. Smith.
Another minute and a knock. She shuffled in, braced by orderlies, and sat. She matched type initially, slumped, immobile across the desk. The desk is a metal barrier. It is too heavy to move easily, and long enough to provide him with something to run around until orderlies can restrain an agitated patient. Her hair was straggling, long. It was unbelievably long, because she attacked anyone who came near it. Her robe, constantly worn open, in mockery of the mockery our system makes of her. Clothing, wrinkled and stained. Staff insisted she stained them deliberately, smearing little impressionist doodles with ketchup and crayon, and occasionally blood. None have ever seen it happen.
I make my face still and welcoming. I smile with a cautious degree of warmth, enough to seem friendly, but not intrusively so.
Good morning, Meredith. I've been looking forward to our meeting. She slumped regally, sternly loose and uncaring.
What would bring me that detached, rigid pose of comfort?
You haven't been with us very long, he continued, after a polite interval. My name is Dr. Fein. Do you remember me? She showed no response. The orderlies made "she's all yours" gestures and departed. Grateful, he took his coffee out of the drawer and proceeded to ignore her. It was still warm.
I catch my reflection in its opaque, glossy surface.
What you're looking at is the cessation of falsehood, she said, and he spat coffee all over her file. Entropic. The surface whirls and turns. The double of your own image shatters in the liquid mirror. You are a fleet of shards. She nods slowly. Only her head has moved.
Regaining control, I smile precisely. She caught me by surprise again. Shallow existential problems melt to the demands of skill. I may be sick, but I'm a damn fine psychiatrist.
Thank you for that observation, Meredith. I'm not Meredith, I'm Jesus, she said placidly. But her lip curled into a smile. We hear that a lot around here, he said. Figures, she said. She remained silent the rest of the session. The next patient slouched in the doorframe. Orderlies flanked him, but despite their hulking menace, he seemed to strike a casual pose somewhere midway between Shaolin monk and Hunter S. Thompson in his prime. His head shaved, now growing in. A last act of defiance. The orderlies glanced at Dr. Fein in concern, but he waved them off. "Won't you come in?" Dr. Fein asked. He nodded and sat. "What is your name?" "Same as yesterday. Dionysus." "Well, Dionysus Kataktonios, but we don't need to be so formal." "What day is today?" the doctor asked next. "Et tu, Brute?" Dionysus quipped in reply. "Excuse me?" The corners of his mouth darted downward. "It's the Ides of March. That line is apocryphal anyway. Can I ask you a question?" "I don't see why not." On the surface, Dionysus was often all wit and humor, even self-deprecating. But something dark lurked under that surface. Anyone could sense it. A restless hunger. Fein knew he couldn't drop his guard. "What experience gives you the right to be my shaman?" Dionysus asked. Dr. Fein blinked for several moments before replying. "I'm sorry, I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm here to help you, but only if you want it." "All right. Try to follow along with me here. I've been driving myself nuts, trying to figure out why my stomach was in knots last night. Could be repressed childhood trauma, right? Could be the awful food, the meds. It could be the displaced angry spirit of an Igbo tribesman, who, for reasons passing understanding, feels the need to take out his vengeance on my bowels." Dionysus was gesturing rapidly with his hands as he spoke, his enthusiasm building. Plunk. Plunk. Dr. Fein, in his distraction, didn't notice the ripples on the surface of his now highly hallucinogenic coffee. This is the problem with diagnosis, attribution of cause. So many cognitive biases at work. Tell me, what can either of us know? "What are you feeling right now?" Dr. Fein asked, trying for rapport. But it had a forced, rictus quality. "Well, disappointment, mostly. I had a lot of questions about my identity as a kid. Thought I was maybe an alien. I had an imaginary friend who lived in the woods. She was like a nightshade that lived on blood. You know how it is. Normal kid stuff. And I met a man who helped me find myself, find my name. When something has a name, it is real. Without a name, without a true name, we are always uncertain. He was a shaman. So I ask you," Dionysus said, standing up. Dr. Fein jumped. "You seem tense today, Doctor. Now, if you don't know what is giving me heartburn, then how the fuck are you supposed to be my shaman?" Dr. Fein shook his head and made some quick notes in the file.
Dionysus's delusions are getting worse. The patient-doctor relationship is clearly breaking down in a fundamental way.
Dionysus stared at him. The doctor stared back, his pupils twin black holes. Dionysus shrugged. "Scale. See? Scale is the key. Nothing in the limited span of a human life amounts to anything. If it wasn't for the secret that eternity hides in the smallest spaces between each moment." A fly buzzed on the wall. Filth, Dr. Fein thought, swatting at it. Entropy and filth. He took another slurp of cold coffee. Think of raindrops falling from the sky. Splash, they hit a windshield, grip on, slide down slowly, mingling with dirt and grit. Things behave differently at different scales. Subatomic, atomic, molecular. This room here. The fluid and sedimentary dynamics of a riverbed. An ecosystem. A fucking solar system. Galaxies. Scale is a frame of reference. An idea. Much like molecules themselves. The matter that composes this desk is mostly empty space. This is just basic physics. They didn't teach this to you in school. The fly was rubbing its legs together, and it was cacophonous, like steel wool on a rusted pan, played through the speakers at an AC/DC concert. Its eyes were huge, a fractal rainbow of fruit flavors. Synesthesia, a new symptom. Time is passing. But how much? "I can help you," Dionysus said. Without thinking, Dr. Fein blurted out, "How?" "Find it, Dr. Fein. Find eternity," Dionysus said, tapping on the desk. The tapping snapped Dr. Fein back into time and Euclidean space. His hands bit down on themselves, curling into tight balls, as if his fingers desired escape from servitude to the almighty hand. "Now!" Dionysus screamed, slamming his fist on the table. Files flew into the air. Containers full of pens and the doctor's remaining coffee toppled end over end, crashing to the floor. Dionysus paused, his arms in the air, waiting for the great reveal. There was none. The doctor stared dully at the droplets of coffee on the ground. "I'm sorry, Doc. You missed it. Maybe next time around. Just pray the Buddhists are right about that. Sorry about the coffee. Have you heard of the Zen stick of encouragement? No. See the way you attain Satori, that's what they call enlightenment, is by sitting. Just fucking sitting. But you need to be constantly jolted into the present so that you can grasp it. Grasp eternity now. It is here or it is nowhere. So the Roshi, the teacher, walks around and whacks students with a stick. The stick of encouragement. They locked gazes. A rivulet of sweat dripped down Dr. Fein's nose. There is only one way to really show you. Dionysus grabbed a pen and drove it into Dr. Fein's forearm. It stuck out like a mini erection, a big priapus, spurting blood instead of semen. The doctor screamed and flailed. "Breathe, Dr. Fein. You are alive. Help, get in here." Dr. Fein gasped. Two orderlies burst into the room and grabbed Dionysus so forcefully that the chair beneath him spun and crashed to the floor. He offered no resistance, but looked at Dr. Fein with concern. "You tell me I need to be cured, but you've got serious issues, my friend. I think you should talk to somebody." The orderlies slammed a syringe into Dionysus's neck. The world, an Aristotelian universe of clockwork, slowed down and unspooled itself. Gears and glass clattered and crashed around him. His eyes fluttered closed as he was carried through the door. A last thought stuck in his mind. Before darkness, Janus was the god of doorways. The ambivalent hermaphrodite, a passageway to dream. He was carried unceremoniously to his shared cell. His roommate, Cody, sat in his own bunk, strumming on an imaginary guitar. "Trouble again?" Cody asked, not looking up. The orderlies grunted as they shackled Dionysus to the bed. "That's not code, you know," Cody said. They glared at him, as if to ask if he wanted to be tied down too. Cody shrugged and went back to mentally transmuting the melody of Seal's Kiss from a Rose through the circle of fifths.
Dr. Fein was rushed through corridors, strapped to a gurney. Cables dangled and flapped against him. They were filling me with their fluids. "Catatonia," one of the nurses said. "Damn shame," said another. He knew he would be fine. He was the one in control. Everything in his manner, voice, his surface thoughts all screamed, "This man knows." He was integrated, wise, with a sturdy grasp on the here and now. He understood everything, standing on the shoulders of rational giants and the scientific method born from the Great Enlightenment. He knew who he was, where he was, when he was, and why. He knew when yesterday was, when tomorrow will be. Things fall down, but the center holds. The center holds. The center holds. The feeling lasted until he opened his mouth to speak the truth, to let the nurses know that everything was okay. Instead, he gagged, jackknife vomiting in a steep, sour arc. He knew he'd been there before. He'll be there tomorrow. Be here, be here. Oh God. No escape from eternity. No escape from uncertainty. Anything, anything, anything but this. Wouldn't you feel less incurably mad after a nice long nap? He thought he heard a nurse say. He tasted vomit and smiled at her. tried to make a joke and bear down on his gorge. But all the words had turned to grease and coated his tongue black. Go to sleep, doctor. Rock-a-bye, fine man, on the wave front. The nurse leaned in and opened her mouth, wide. Stretch marks formed at the hinges of her jaw before the skin tore with a running wet zip. And she was growing, looming over the table, rows of sharp teeth sprouting with muted pops from a gummy pink palate. She grabbed his bed as if it was a dinner plate and tilted it up, the hospital machinery sliding into her wet maw with cracks and crashes. "You're not real," he shrieked. "None of this is real." "Then there's nothing to lose. Hop in," she smiled. Nothing. Nothing except dying, alone and quite mad.
Dionysus tossed in his bunk, his hands latched in place. Sharp, tawny blades of wheat parted and gave way to a stone path, which wound its way through picturesque hills. The sound of creaking chains rolled towards him with the fog. Atop the hills stood the outline of dangling figures, swaying in the wind like marionettes. Beyond the macabre forms lay a village. Those who watched over the village must have seen it fit to hang deviants from iron chains on a stone gallows. Tongues cut out meant watch your own. Eyes gouged out meant mind your business. Hands removed with a splitting maul meant no begging, idling, or street busking. The village itself couldn't be placed in time or by culture. Each house varied too widely in construction, placement, and class, though overall it was a pastiche of peasantry throughout time. In these buildings, he believed he could see an untold history of the rise and fall of civilizations, of the sleepy forgetfulness that greets the passage of all ages. A stone maze, which seemed the handiwork of some long-lost people, receded into a whirling fog. The immensity of its whirls and turns was beyond calculation, but even at this distance it appeared crumbling, at places having lost its structure altogether. He stumbled through the field, not yet aware of himself. The familiar sound of a girl's laughter danced on the wind. Then he saw her. Eyes sparkled and shifted colors as he gawked and fell in love. Each of her gestures had the slow motion, natural grace of a high-quality shampoo ad. It was her eyes he kept returning to. Impossibly huge, self-contained worlds. Dream eyes. Every longing he'd ever had was distilled in the form of her face, framed by thick braids of crimson hair. He wanted to clutch them with both hands as they made endless love in the field, distracted by nothing, serenaded by the whispering of wind through the wheat and the crickets. She wore a summer dress of red cotton that fit her like a nightgown, and as she laughed, a strap worked free from her shoulder, stopping his heart. "Do you think we can fly?" she asked. He grinned and took a step. "It seems reasonable. I'm dreaming, right? We're dreaming. Are we? Isn't it obvious? Fields of wheat, a cobblestone maze, an eternally receding village that exists outside of time. And you." "Me?" she asked, resetting the strap on her shoulder. "Where do you think I fit in?" He racked his brain for poetry to steal, but found nothing. "You're the dream." She swayed minutely towards him and smiled. His heart came in his ribs. "You're almost right." "Almost?" She glided up and around him, breathing so close to his ear that he felt himself fainting. "I'm bait," she whispered, ducking his encircling arms. She sprinted, naked, into the wheat. He stood frozen, holding her red dress in his hands. Without so much as a thought, Dionysus followed. The wheat blotted out the sky. Broad, brittle leaves cut him as he dove through rows of it, chasing a giggle, a flash of her taut calf, a breath of musk. He ran to the drums of the blood behind his eyes, panting with a mixture of horny abandon, supplication, and elation that formed a nameless emotion somewhere behind his navel. He tore his clothes as he thudded through the stalks, toppling them. Their stems popped gunshots under his feet. He remembered her question. "Do you think we can fly?" she had asked. "Can we?" He jumped, hoping to see over the heads of the stalks. He floated above them, defying the laws of gravity. defying the laws of anything save willpower. Airborne, he swiveled and watched her disappear into the alleys of the village with a toss of her braids. The ground was so very far beneath him. Fear surged through his veins. He had always been afraid of heights. The vast empty space would make his head swim. Sometimes, as a child, he had lost consciousness entirely. Gravity wrapped its fingers around him and dragged him to the ground. The world rolled end over end. He tasted dirt and was sure she was gone. He shook his head and got to his feet. When he stood, he was in a corridor, the walls lined with filing cabinets that seemed to go on forever. Ahead he saw a desk in the middle of the hallway. With a mere thought, he was standing in front of a gnomish old man on the other side of the desk. The name tag on his ill-fitting suit read, "File Clerk, a 743G1. All caps, black type, probably Helvetica. The clerk's arms were unnaturally long and spindly. His eyebrows were cloud-like wisps. A girl in an Alice in Wonderland dress sat on the corner, bouncing her legs back and forth as she hummed to herself. "Young man, do you have an appointment?" "Appointment? You must have an appointment." "I was following someone. Did a woman run this way?" "There is nothing here but words." The girl looked askance at Dionysus. "She went that way." Dionysus turned to pursue. "Or no. Maybe it was that way." She giggled. "Are you messing with me? I haven't even started." The file clerk leaned forward, motioning for Dionysus to come closer. "Listen to me, and listen carefully. You don't belong here, and bad things happen to those who don't belong. The walls taste your breathing. The floor ponders your warmth. This is not a wear at all," he whispered. Indeed, the walls breathed with a regular rhythm, bulging and hissing like a living thing. Machines dwelled in that sound too, behind the filing cabinets. A living world of clanking cogs and wheels, whistles and steam bellows. "Your kind should go no further. It is safe neither for you nor them." He didn't understand. "You mustn't tell him such horrible things," the child said. "You are in the belly of a sleeping whale," the file clerk said. A cabinet flew open of its own accord, extending the entire distance to the desk. A single piece of paper shot out and danced down before him. "Now you've done it," the girl clapped playfully. "Your appointment has been confirmed." "My appointment?" The file clerk shrugged. The lights went out, one at a time. Dionysus was left in darkness. Light returned in the form of the sun, dancing out from behind the clouds. His shadow grew long and thin as he crossed a schoolyard, past a broken merry-go-round that tilted off its axis, a skeletal jungle gym, an empty swing set. The scent of opium flooded his nostrils as he approached a sheet metal slide. A girl was perched atop, hands clasped around her knees. She peered down at him with an eerie intensity. They were not the eyes of a child, something ageless and incalculably cunning. A slight shudder passed through his spine as the odor became more pronounced, and it dawned on him. This was the girl he was chasing, though she was younger now, and her features had changed somewhat. But somehow, he knew she was the same. She wordlessly extended her hand toward him, and he stretched his arm to clasp it. As she slid down, her red locks and sundress billowed behind her. "Pick me up," she demanded, brushing sand off her bottom. He felt deeply uncomfortable, but found himself strangely compelled to do what she asked. "Over there," she said, motioning towards a gulag-like school building, reminiscent of the high school he had attended. Foreboding followed him as he cut a path across the lawn, cradling her in his arms. Something was very wrong. The door creaked open, and he walked cautiously down the hallway. "This room, over there. Room 49. As he approached the door, her lips found his earlobe and bit down sharply, just hard enough for it to draw blood. He let go and spun. She was gone. Her mocking laughter echoed around him. "What the fuck?" he exclaimed, feeling a bit like a mouse being played with by a cat. He was standing alone in an old classroom. There was a dust-coated chalkboard in the front of the room. "I have always been here," a trio of voices said. It was the voice of the girl he had seen in the field, delivered by a chorus. "Hello?" he asked, looking behind desks. The door to the classroom opened and 3 women entered. 3 distinct iterations of the same woman, the same force. One was younger, with spiked hair. A striped skirt clung to her hips, and a sticker and patch-plastered bag slung over one shoulder. Another came behind her, this one in her late 20s and dressed like a rock star, on her way down the red carpet at an event. That shampoo-ad hair. And there was another, the eldest, potent, naked, and utterly terrifying. "Who are you?" he managed to ask. The elder one spoke first. "We've met and parted," spoke another. "And met again," said the third. "We have?" They seemed to regard him with amusement. The eldest grabbed him, as another dropped to her knees in front of him. Her bag slipped off her shoulder. She gave him a long look before yanking down his pants with a tug. He stammered a bunch of gibberish. She bit her lip impatiently and glanced back at the other 2. His body reacted despite his fear, as she locked gazes with him, her mouth opening expectantly. The others tittered and circled slowly, watching herself. He heard the familiar sound of chalk scraping against the blackboard, but he was too distracted to look. "This one seems different than the others," one said to another. Her voice drifted to him from behind as he watched her head bob back and forth. He felt vulnerable, completely knocked off guard. He seems a fool like all the rest. "Sure, but I think we know him. He's one of the others. One of the 12. "A fool like all the rest," she repeated. She ripped off his shirt, planted her hands on his chest, and shoved. She smiled wickedly as his head slammed against the linoleum tile. They were all over him. Her mouth tasted of berries and loamy wine. The taste flowed into him as one of them, he couldn't even tell which, rode him ferociously. Meanwhile, they whispered high weirdness in his ears, though he was scarcely paying attention to the words. He felt the sting of fingernails ripping into his flesh with each slick thrust as he moaned into the mouth of another. Then quite suddenly, the eldest wrapped her hands around the throat of her younger self astride him, staring into his eyes all the while. She grinned, before wrenching that head to the side, snapping the spine with a wet pop. The body reflexively convulsed and flexed around him as he screamed in horrified shock. But then, the strangest thing happened. Her form turned to vapor. At the same time, silver strands began drooping from the mouths of the other 2, and they quickly weaved this liquid moonlight about themselves like spiders building a nest. And he was lying alone on the floor of an abandoned school, his pants around his ankles, surrounded by milky, fibrous eggs about the size of a girl curled in fetal position. He read what she had written on the board. "The dreamer is still asleep. Wake up." The air was full of smoke and brick dust. "Wake up, Dionysus. Wake the fuck up." Loki was dressed in maintenance coveralls. He cut the restraints quickly with a box cutter. "Hell, wake the fuck up and get that stupid look off your face. What were you dreaming about anyway?" Dionysus sat upright. He looked over to see that the window had blown open. The alarms buzzed painfully in his ears. Cody huddled in the corner, his eyes wide with terror. "Hey, Cody, quiet down. It's fine. This is a friend of mine. It's like a prison break. Get out if you can," Dionysus said. Dionysus shook his head a final time, trying to dislodge the cobwebbed traces of dream which stuck to his thoughts. What had he been dreaming about? Other voices joined the din of the alarm, panicked patients, and the clamor of administrative staff. "Up and go. Let's climb," Loki said. They grabbed hold of the rope and scaled up to the roof. Dionysus grunted and faltered. Loki hauled him over the edge and detached the rope ladder. It was still anchored next to the window and swung down, coming to rest near a twisted grate at the perimeter grounds. "Problem?" Loki asked, in a whisper. Dionysus shook his head. No, we just don't get much exercise around here." "There's a ladder. He went down," they heard from below. "Is it really this easy?" Dionysus asked. Loki shook his head. "Don't tempt fate, okay? Just follow me. We have to get Jesus." "What about that kid, Johnny? The patsy? Nah, he's safer in here." And, Loki thought, if the two of you had followed the plan, he'd be the only one in here. They approached a security access door, with a black duffel bag propped against it. Dionysus was grinning like a kid on Christmas. Loki's face was a perfect blank. Loki reached into the bag and threw a security uniform at Dionysus, before stripping off his coveralls and replacing them with his own uniform. Loki looked him up and down. "You still a 32-36? "Fuck no. I've been taking benzos and coloring for 10 months. "Huh. How do I look?" Loki asked, adjusting his security badge and nameplate. "A pig among men." Loki spent a moment fussing with Dionysus's collar, and then opened the door behind them with a key card. They entered, Loki carrying the duffel over his shoulder. Alarms and running feet echoed throughout the building. Dionysus and Loki approached the door, Loki with a small mirror in hand. He angled to look through the window in the door, glancing back at Dionysus. He frowned. "What?" Dionysus asked. "You're grinning like a mental patient." Dionysus grinned wider, showing his teeth. "How's this?" Loki sighed. "Okay, rent-a-cop, right? In over your head and trying to take charge of that." He waved in the general direction of the alarms. "You want commanding, confused, and a little hostile." Dionysus pursed his lips. "All at once, huh?" "Yeah." Loki's expression and posture shifted, somehow perfectly nailing his description. "That's creepy." Loki shook his head and swiped the keycard in the door. They entered. They moved purposefully down a hallway lined with high-security doors, shining flashlights through the windows of each door in passing, as though checking on patients. 2 rent-a-cops trotted past them, exiting through the stairwell. Dionysus and Loki dropped the act as soon as the cops passed. Loki opened a door. "She's in here, come on." Standing in the middle of a padded cell, arms outstretched, was a tall androgyne with a mane of purple hair. "Jesus, time to go!" Loki tossed the duffel across the room at her. It hit her chest, bounced off, and fell to the floor. "This bag contains uniforms like those, right?" Jesus said slowly. "Yeah." "No." "The hell do you mean, no?" Jesus nudged the bag dourly. "I'm not doing it in drag." Loki rolled his eyes. "You're fucking kidding me." "No," Jesus said again. "You're going to blow this plan. Over." Loki was at a loss for words. "If we argue much longer, yeah," Dionysus said. "Look, just..." Loki paused, calculating something in his head. "Fuck it." He grabbed Jesus from behind and guided her out the door, Dionysus joined in. They made their way towards a stairwell, which disgorged 2 staff. Loki shoved her against the wall. "We got this one. Go to East Second to assist." Jesus spit at Loki and faked a struggle. The staff looked at each other blankly. "Go. Now." When they were out of earshot, Loki looked at Jesus. Was the spitting really necessary? Jesus' head bobbed from side to side. "Not really, but when will I get to do that again?" A janitor stood outside the motor pool parking lot, back to the wall, kicking back and smoking his second cigarette in a row. The door slammed open. His cigarette hung precariously on his lip as 3 crazed faces regarded him with confusion. As he would tell the news reporter later, then a freak with purple hair punched the living Christ out of me, jumped into the nearest van, and drove away. As Loki drove, the other 2 shined flashlights out the windows, as though looking for escapees. "We'll do a loop, then head for the gate. You 2 duck and I'll—" "Stop," Dionysus yelled. Loki slammed on the brakes. Standing in the glare of the headlights was Cody, his curly hair pulled back in a ponytail, his few belongings wrapped up in a blanket. "Friend of yours?" "Rumi, remember?" Dionysus said, nodding. "Destiny," Jesus said. Loki scrutinized their faces. "No use arguing, is there? Fine." They pulled alongside, and he jumped in. "Stay low, okay?" Loki said. They halted at the exterior gate. A security guard nervously squinted up at them. Loki opened the driver's window. "There's a breach in the east fence. I'm going to check it out. You have a radio?" The security guard patted the walkie-talkie on his belt. "Just this one." "Mine's dead." "Shit. Call it in and have someone follow me out." "Got it," the security guard said, waving them out. They drove into the darkness of night. The moon hung in the sky, nearly invisible. She sent her borrowed sunlight off into space instead, perhaps jealous of her big blue brother.
You have been listening to the Fallen Cycle Mythos podcast. Keep subscribed to receive new episodes as they are released at fallencycle.com or on the podcasting service of your choice. Party at the World's End was written by James Curcio. Thanks to J.F. Stackhouse and Nate Samsel for collaborating on early drafts of this story. The soundtrack was produced by James Curcio, with special thanks to various creative collaborators for inspiration and soundtrack source from old sessions, including, in no particular order, Scott Landis, Sean Marsden, Jen E., Gaetan, Sarah and Rahul Iyer, Martine Della Ruffa, David Bessel, Ari, and Nate Samsel. Cut the Sky's Throat, an album selected from this feature's soundtrack, is free to stream and will be available on Bandcamp. Music by Lilith, Dionysus, Cody, Jesus, and Ariadne. A statement on the use of neural networks is available on our website for those curious about how we do and don't use these technologies. This podcast is Creative Commons 3.0, Attribution, Share and Share Alike, Non-Commercial Use.